Russell, what would you say to all the staff of Emoov that have just lost their jobs just before Christmas?
Well, the same that applies to the shareholders, the customers, and the creditors. Look, I'm sorry, of course I am. You know, the biggest regret in all of this is the human cost, of course. You know, so I'm regretful and apologetic. I mean, and actually, look, the customers are kind
genuinely or just
yeah, no, of course, genuinely, and the customers were caught in the middle of this. They obviously didn't know what was coming. The staff did. I mean, I stood up in front of the staff every week for the last 4 or 5 weeks to tell them very, very clearly what was happening, how we were trying to sell the business, how many participants we had lined up, and what was happening. And
because that was done very much in public, wasn't it? It was almost
well, I didn't do it in public, but of course stuff gets leaked.
It does.
So
when you almost like your dirty washing.
Yeah, but we had 140 staff, and a lot of them would kind of dial in because they were remote LPAs, and of course people were leaking stuff to Ros Renshaw and Graham Norwood left, right, centre. Look, that's fine. I knew that was a risk, but the alternative was just to keep quiet and not tell the staff what was going on. So I took the opposite approach, which was to be very open and honest with them, and to face them. I didn't say, you know, I didn't do a David Cameron and sort of do my bit and then turn around and walk off. I stood there for as long as necessary and answered every single question from every member of staff. And also, when the question was asked at the end of October, beginning of November, bearing in mind the last payday was October the 31st, you know, first week of November, second week of November, third week of November, fourth week of November, when I was asked the question, will we be paid, I had to say, I don't know, and I can't guarantee that you will be. And if as a consequence you feel that you should go out and start looking for an alternative position, then you must do that. I was very clear, very, very clear. Now, you know,
Did you lose?
I lost, yeah, of course I did. I lost, I haven't been paid since the staff have been paid. So I've lost salary, I've lost, I guess, from an employment contract point of view, notice, redundancy, and so on. So I've lost in that respect. But what I've lost predominantly is what I set out to achieve, which was an exit for my family. So I now don't have that exit. So I've never taken money off the table from Emoov. I've never sold a share. I've never taken, you know, a loan or a lump of cash. I've taken a salary eventually, not year 2, year 1 or year 2, but eventually, you know, a small salary year 3, 4, slightly bigger in year 5, 6, and so on. But I mean, I've lost, I mean, immeasurably. But lots of people have lost here. Creditors have lost. The customers have lost, of course, because some of them are paid up front, and then obviously we've not been able to fulfil the service, and of course staff have lost. But the one thing I would say, you know, despite my genuine regret and my remorse in that regard, is that kind of still brings a bit of a lump. Is when you stand up in front of your staff and you say that you might not get paid, and they still come in the next day, and the next day, and the next day. That's incredible.
Have you had any contact with members of staff since it all went belly up?
Yeah, loads. So many of them have got other jobs, thankfully. And most of them I've been in touch with one way or the other, either to help them with you know, stuff relating to the administration or the administrator, or, you know, just to kind of, I don't know, give, for what it's worth, a bit of advice and a bit of a kind of helping hand. So yeah, of course. So look, the whole thing was, you know, a disaster, and a complex disaster, of course, and very regretful. But if anyone thinks that much could have been done, apart from changing decisions from 6 months, 12 months, 2 years ago, you know, am I regretful? Yes, completely, and apologetic, sincerely. And am I ashamed, I guess is my question. No, I'm not. I'm not ashamed of what I tried to build, how I tried to help change the industry and make it better, how I employed hundreds of people, you know, how I tried to did get shareholders on board with a view, of course, originally to them sharing in the spoils of the benefit of the journey. You know, did we achieve things? Yeah, we absolutely did. So I'm not ashamed of what's happened. And look, we have to accept that, particularly when it comes to startup businesses, growth businesses, let alone all the businesses that we're seeing failing in the high street, left, right and centre, HMV, Maplin, Toys R Us, House of Fraser, Small Bone Kitchens and so on. Look, failure is a part of life.
Because to be honest with you, everyone seems to be shooting at you property industry are, your name's up
Yeah,
there.
but it will be because
But no one seems to be shooting the guy from HMV and things like
well,
that.
the CEO of HMV resigned 6 months before the business went into administration. So I didn't do that. I could have done that. I had a very, very well-known consultant that you would know telling me 3 months before the administration, just jump out, just get out, just leave it. I wouldn't do that, So I stayed there till literally the last minute of that business, and fought, daily in the last, days and weeks to try and secure a deal with one of the many buyers we were talking to. So, and I was determined that I would try and do that. And the deal we were trying to do was that whoever came in and bought the business, and this was right at the last minute. So, originally.
Don't mention names, but was it 50-50?
So there were about 12 people interested in buying the business. So businesses and individuals, some of whom you would definitely know, but all of them in the end decided that. Some of them, of course, for whatever reason, they didn't want to pursue that. But most of them that decided not to progress the sale pre-administration decided to do so because they didn't want to be on the hook for the salary for November, which was about £430,000. And they also didn't want to be on the hook because everybody was on a minimum of a month's notice. They'd have to then pay the salaries for December. So even if they decided in their own wisdom to get rid of everybody, they would have been on the hook for £1 million. So as a consequence, the individuals that were involved all decided to wait. Most of those individuals have now bid for the business in one form or another in administration, and the business has now been sold. But I can't tell you who to.
Thank you very much.